Skinny Holloway Southern T back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If it's your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. Talk this good boxing, MMA, sports, parlays, predictions every single day and not just today, man. Today we're here with a game one Knicks versus Spurs breakdown EP. We gonna really get into this breakdown today. Al Money was good. Al Money, appreciate you sliding through. Shout out my guy Al Money. Was goody, my brother. Was goody. Deuces up to you. We about to get into this breakdown. Go tell y'all my side, what I'm going with it. Winners, loser, and going to give y'all some player props. Going to give y'all some player props to take home. Gonna also give y'all some extra player props, right? That I just uh happened to like. Uh right. Shout out my guy Al Money with the gift, man. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, man, the NBA finals are here, right? We got Knicks, we got Spurs. The Spurs pretty much dominated, right? The Eastern Conference. Like, what's good, Tequila? Shout out my girl Tequila. Appreciate you sliding through. The Spurs pretty much dominated, right? The Eastern Conference playoffs, right? Made it look fairly easy, right? They beat the Hawks. Was it 4-1? They got the 70. Was it 4-1 or 4-2? Could have been 4-2, right? But got them out of there fairly quick. Got the 76ers. Got the 76ers out of there in 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. It was a sweep for the 76ers. Uh, like who did they just play in that last round? The Knicks, made the Pistons, right? Stepped on the Pistons, dominated the Pistons. Uh, some thought that series may be a closer series. Al Money, shout out my guy Al Money in that super duper. Appreciate you, Al. Let me get that on the screen. So that my guy Al Money is super duper. No worries. Just drop the flames. Appreciate you, right? But yeah, they took care of the Pistons fairly easy, right? Beat them 5-1. They beat the Atlanta Hawks 5-1, if I'm not mistaken. They swept the 76, right? They only lost 2 games this entire playoffs. Yes, I'm correct about that. They only lost 2 games this entire playoffs, right? So they handled these teams. Uh, right, you know what I mean? They handled these teams fairly easy. Like they made it a bit of a cakewalk. It's been a bit of a cakewalk to the Eastern Conference Finals for the Spurs. It's actually been the exact opposite, right? They win what game? They win 5 games. They win 6 games, and then they win 7 games, right? So it has gotten increasingly harder for them, every single round. Now you could look at that 2 ways, right? From either side, from either perspective. You could look at it from the Knicks side and say they looked great, they dominated, right? They handled business. And you could look at it from the Spurs side to say, well, they beat a lot of good teams. They're battle tested, and then they're ready for, what awaits them in the championship, right? So, but either way you look at it, both of these teams have looked, I would say, impressive. You know what I mean, leading up until this point. They both have gotten there. They both have gotten there different ways, but both have looked impressive. So I'm expecting this to be, a really, really good series on the whole, right? You know what I mean? We got Wemby leading the San Antonio Spurs. You got Jalen Brunson, who's leading the New York Knicks. New York is in a frenzy right now, y'all. New York is in a frenzy right now. When I say New York, Diaper Dandy. What's good, Diaper Dandy? Appreciate you sliding through. If y'all could hit that thumbs up, man. New York is in a frenzy right now, right? When I say New York is in a frenzy, I mean the city. I mean everybody. Vibes are high in New York. All of my New York friends, right? Telling me we about to win. The ship, right? They extremely excited. The vibes are high in New York. If you're in New York right now, I bet you it's a different feeling, right? Different vibe around that city right now, as it should be. 30 years since they last won the championship, 30 years since they last been to, you know what I mean, a championship, right? And then you got the San Antonio Spurs, right? Who it kind of feels like, was playing with house money, right? Not many people had the Spurs being here. Not many people had the Spurs making it this far. We thought the Spurs will be good maybe one day, right? But maybe not as fast as they have, right? Didn't expect them to be in the finals this year, right? The maturation of Wemby has helped them a lot, but also that team around Wemby as a whole, right, has grown, which is what I think has a lot to do with them. You know, having this has a lot to do with them. You know what I mean? Making this jump. What's good, Ray? Appreciate you sliding through. He said Knicks haven't lost a game in the playoffs. I believe now they lost two games, Diaper Dandy. They lost one game to the Hawks and they lost one game to the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks lost two games. I think they what 14-2. And then you got the Spurs who have been playing everybody pretty tough. I talked about that. I talked about that like right before you came in. Literally, like right before you came in, Dr. Dana, I talked about that. How these both of these teams took completely different paths to the finals, but both teams, you know, uh made it to the finals. Just depending on just depending on how you just depending on how you want to look at it, right? You could look at it as the Knicks have been dominating, standing on business, or you could look at it as it been the weak Eastern Conference. You could look at it as the Spurs have been battle tested each round, right? Or you could look at it as they can be beat because they've been beaten multiple times, right, by multiple teams in multiple series, right? So I think we got a pretty good dynamic, right? Pretty interesting, I should say, right? Dynamic on how you could look at the series. You have the Spurs. My guy Diaper Danny just told you Spurs minus 185, Knicks plus 155 for the chip. You're talking about the series, Diaper Dandy. You're talking about the series. I know the odds for game one, right, is minus 198, and the Knicks are plus 124, if I'm not mistaken. Right, not looking at it right now, which we are going to look at. Which you are about to look at in a second, right? But the odds not in front of me right now. But I do know the Spurs. I find this 188 the last time I looked at it. I think the Knicks was plus 124 the last time that I looked at it. But I think Diaper Dandy is referring to the series, right? And I actually thought, right, we'll go ahead and get into it. They have the Spurs being the favorite, right? Like I said earlier, the Knicks have made the playoff run look easy. The Spurs, you could say they got better every round, but they have took some losses along the way. The last game went seven. The last game went 7 games, right? So the Spurs have took some losses in here, and the Knicks have almost been untouched, right? So one side, so you could look at it, a couple different ways, right, on both sides. But I think with the Spurs being the favorite, each team has had a very unique way of getting here. I think, a lot of people feel like, right? Well, I think we all would agree. I only have to say feel like, right? I think we all would agree that the West is stronger than the East, right? So the Spurs having to have more of battles and fights, right? It's expected, right? When you play OKC and then you go and then you play. Well, they played Portland first, right? Portland was able to get it one game off them, right? So they did what they had to do with Portland. They stood on business. They handled business, right? And then the second round, OKC came and they played. Not OKC, Spurs. Uh, the Spurs played Portland in their first round, right? They came and they stood on business. The last round, the Spurs just played OKC, right? Who is the champ, who is the defending champions, right? It took them 7 games, but they beat who, you know, were the defending champs, right? So of course, they're not going to be sweeping teams and beating teams in 5 games because they had a bit of a harder path. But the Knicks, on the other side, they have done exactly what they were supposed to do with the teams that they played, right? Meaning that 76ers, they swept them. Uh, Atlanta Hawks, they dominated them, right? Last series, Detroit Pistons, a strong defensive team, not as offensively gifted, but they dominated, right? So the Knicks are looking really, really good. You know what I mean? Going into this game, going into this series, they are looking great. And I think it's needed, right? To give some belief, to give some hope to, the Knicks fans and basketball fans that the Spurs aren't just going to torch them, right? Because I'm gonna be real with y'all. Now we can start getting into, the betting odds and whatnot. And I will be live tomorrow for the watch party for the game, right? So make sure y'all pull up. We go watch the game. You know, I'm gonna watch the game with y'all, right? But let's start getting into the schematical. Let's start getting into. Shout out my guy Diaper Dandy too down there. He just told his Finals MVP. Victor minus 170. Brunson is plus 190, right? So it's still about what it was. It's still about, right? It's still about what it was the last time that I checked. Shout out my guy, Diaper Dandy. You know what I mean? With dropping them odds on us. Diaper Dandy, tell us what's the odds is for game one. Tell us what the odds is for Knicks versus OKC game one. Tell them what they are right now. I remember the Spurs being 198, right? But the Knicks odds are kind of passing me right now. What's the odds for game one? If you would be so kind, if you would be so kind to help me out, my good brother, since we on the subject. But yeah, I digress. But yeah, I digress. So both teams have had, different paths of getting here, but I think both teams have looked good getting here despite, one team almost not losing, right? And then the other team going to a game six and a game seven. I think both teams have looked well. The Spurs are the favorite, right? They've had the more difficult path, but they also are playing in the West, right? Like we just said, the West is a lot harder. The West is a lot harder to compete in than uh the East, right? So it's expected. But I think the Knicks did everything that they were supposed to do, given the competition that they had to face. The Knicks did stand on business. The Knicks did stand on business. They looked like the better team in each series, right? I'm not gonna say I've doubted the Knicks, you know what I mean? This playoffs leading up to this series, but I will say I have questioned, you know what I mean, the Knicks leading up to this series, right? With San Antonio, with San Antonio, San Antonio is one of those teams where they're really young, right? They're really young. They have never been here before. The Knicks aren't as young, but the Knicks haven't been here before either, right? But their team does have, a lot of experience, reps in the league, and they have a lot of experience and reps playing with one another, right? Given that 3 out of the 5 starters played together in college, right? This would be about their second or third year together. Interestingly enough, this would be the Spurs' second and third year together as well. So this is a really good matchup, man. And on paper, right? On paper, I think it's a really good matchup. I'm struggling, right? I'm struggling with me thinking in my head, right? He said Celtics, Dapper Dandy said Spurs minus 4.5, minus 185 game one. Spurs minus. Yeah, no, the odds. Yeah, I know the spread is 4.5, right? But the odds on the actual game, right, is what I'm asking for. Diaper Dan minus 198 to what plus 124 is that what it still is? Plus 134, something like that, something like that, right? But each team, each team, I feel like has done what they're supposed to do to get here. When you got OKC, you're playing OKC to get here. It's expected, that you go 7 games, right? It's expected that you go 7 games, right? And when you're the New York Knicks, right, and you're playing in the East, a team in a conference that a lot of people think is the weak conference, you're supposed to, you know what I mean, dominate like they have. So now that we have gotten here, the Spurs are the favorite, right? As we have come, as we know now, right? As we just told y'all, my guy Dr. Dandy. Just told y'all Knicks plus 150 four, Spurs minus 185. Right. So the Spurs are the favorite in this. The Spurs will be at home. So the Spurs will have home court advantage in this series. You got the 2 seed in the West versus you got the 2 seed in the West versus the 3 seed. You got the 2 seed in the West versus the 3 seed in the East, right? So home court advantage will be held by uh, San Antonio Spurs. So game one is going to be at San Antonio, right? So this is how I'm feeling. Again, these two teams they match up well, right? If you go down the list from point guard, shooting guard, all the way down the list, starting fives match up extremely well. It's when you get to the bench of the San Antonio Spurs, though, right? Is where things differ a little. Now they had Mitchell Robinson ruled as out of the game due to an injury, but when I check all my books and stuff, right, all his props and everything are available. So I'm not really sure. Maybe he is going to play, maybe he isn't, right? But he could possibly be banged up, right? But we're going to assume that he's not going to play, right? And if he doesn't play, it's gonna sound crazy, but if Mitchell Robinson doesn't play, the Knicks really don't stand a chance. Sudden T, what you mean the Knicks don't stand a chance if Mitchell Robinson don't play? We got Jalen Brunson, we got Mikal Bridges, we got Karl Anthony Towns, we got OG Anunoby, right? But somebody has to hold Wemby, and even Mitchell Robinson, right, having to hold Wemby isn't just guaranteed that he's going to do well, but he does give you the best chance at slowing Wemby down. Somebody has to hold him, and that person who's going to be doing the majority of that, you would think, will be Mitchell Robinson. So they're going to need Mitchell Robinson defensively for sure, and they're going to need him to be healthy, right? You know what I mean? So if Mitchell Robinson is not playing, I I think the Spurs may win this game in blowout fashion, right? Maybe they may win in blowout fashion even if he's playing, right? But if he's not playing for sure, I'm taking the Spurs every single game, not no doubt about it, not thinking twice, right? You know what I mean? The games may not play out as easy as what I just said without Mitchell, but you got to think there's two sides to the ball, offense and defense. Who is going to hold Wemby for the New York Knicks? The New York Knicks' biggest, and I started with Mitchell Robinson because the New York Knicks' biggest problem is interior defense. Their interior, they don't have a whole lot of depth at big man. They almost have no big man. Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, right, is running power forward for them most of the time in these games, right? And then when you get to the center, it get real scarce. Cat is going to have to be doing a lot of holding of Wemby this series, especially if Mitchell Robinson is hurt. And if he's holding Wemby, it's going to be taken away from Cat's offensive game, right? So everybody else is going to have to step up offensively even more. And Wemby is not going to be holding Cat on defense, right? They're going to hide him and they're going to find a way to, you like they always do, to let him free roam the basket to help, with the paint protection, which is also something that the Knicks are going to have to deal with because the Knicks are a strong inside team. They like to get to the basket, right? So there's the Wemby factor is also going to play in there, but you're going to need Mitchell Robinson to slow Wemby down on defense, right? There's that. Now, like I was getting at, I think they could match one another with the starting lineup. You got Brunson, you got Castle, you got Josh Hart, right? You got I'm about to call him Darren Fox. His name's not Darren Fox. What's Fox's first name? Darren. I was gonna call him Darren. You got De'Aaron Fox, right? You got Josh Hart, and then you got Vassell, and then you got Miles Bridges, then you got OG Anunoby, then you got Champagne, and then you got Cat, and then you got Wemby, right? So when you get to that starting five actually matches up pretty well. But once you get to Harper, right, and then you got the sixth man of the year, Keldon Johnson, coming off the bench as well. Now the Knicks have McBride. The Knicks have Shamet, who we're going to talk about a little later, right? Shamet has been playing out his mind, but you're going to need McBride. You're going to need Shamet. You're going to need Mitchell Robinson. You're going to need Jordan Clarkson to consistently play well in these games in order for the Knicks to sustain a chance. Who is going to – the San Antonio Spurs have the sixth man of the year in Keldon Johnson, and Keldon Johnson hasn't even been the best sixth man in the playoffs for the San Antonio Spurs. It's been Dallin Harper, who's a rookie, right? So this Spurs team goes about 8 to 9 players deep faithfully, right? And they're good players. The Knicks, they go about 6 to 7 deep, right? You know what I mean? With not a whole lot of big man help or depth in that equation, right? So it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the Knicks. I actually thought the Spurs would be bigger favorites, right, in these games to start it. I thought maybe the series I would get, better odds on the Knicks, right? The Knicks are about plus 190 plus 200 to win this series. And I was thinking maybe it'd be about plus 4, plus 5, right? But when you got so much love, so much love, especially with it being in New York, right, you're going to get people who believe in the Knicks, right? As they should, because the Knicks are playing out of their mind, right? But I am going to take San Antonio to win game one, right? I am taking San Antonio to win game one, right? The Mitchell Robinson factor is something that I'm going to have to keep my eye on. And I think the difference in this game, I think the difference in this series, right, is just going to be the depth of the Spurs, especially over the course of time, right? If the Knicks are going to compete in this series, the Knicks are going to have to win this game one, right? So, T, what you mean? Well, the Spurs are going to be coming off the Spurs are coming off a 7-game series, right? The Knicks have had extra time to rest. If you're getting the extra time to rest, you want to take advantage of it, right? So game one is highly important to the Knicks, right? You're going to have to get at least one game in San Antonio, right? And making it game one makes, your job a whole lot more easy, especially for the Knicks who don't play that well on the road. If you check the Knicks regular season road record, it's about 500. It's not really good, especially compared to their home record. The Knicks have been this way for about the last 3 years. Don't really play well on the road, right? This is going to be a road game, so that plays into me taking the Spurs as well, right? But the Knicks, the Knicks, the most important part, DP Rocker was good. My guy DP Rocker said Knicks in 6. My guy DP Rocker was one of the people who said the Knicks was gonna win the championship before the last series was even over, right? So my guy DP Rocker on the Knicks, he been on the Knicks. Shout out to my guy DP Rocker. Appreciate you sliding through. What's good, DP, right? But I'm rolling with the Spurs for game one. Right. Not gonna give away my series winner just yet, right? We gonna walk it down. Well, I could tell y'all, right? Because if I walk it down, then I'm not ever gonna give y'all a series winner, right? So I think Spurs gonna win the series, right? I do think the Spurs gonna win the series, but each game is going to take on is a life in its own. And I am going with Spurs to open it up. But this is going to be the Knicks' best chance, I think, to get a win. Right. They're coming off a long rest. Spurs are coming off a short rest, right? But I think as we get into this series, we get into play because the Spurs are so much deeper. By the game one, it may not matter as much, right? But game 4, game 5, I think we start to see, the tired legs catch up with, the Knicks, because the Knicks starters, right? The Knicks starters play the most minutes of any starters in the league, right? They play heavy minutes. It's always been that way. Brunson plays heavy minutes. Mikhail plays heavy minutes. OG plays heavy minutes. Catch plays heavy minutes, right? So they're playing heavy minutes. So I think as the series continues, right? Game 4, game 5, I think the bench, the consistency of the Spurs bench, the youthfulness of the Spurs team also, is going to catch up with the Knicks players and them having to play, right, them having to play such heavy minutes. The Knicks don't have an old team. The Knicks don't have an old team. The Knicks don't have an old team or anything like that, right? They have a veteran team, but they play heavy minutes, right? Y'all play basketball. I'm pretty sure y'all play basketball, right? Y'all play sports. When you first get to the gym, right, and you run your game, you running your games, you win the first game, you beat their ass. You win the second game, you beat their ass. You win the third game, you beat their ass. By the time you get to that fourth game, y'all running the court. But by the time you get to that fourth game, you feel it a little bit, right? Y'all win the fourth game, boom, you beat that. You win the fifth game, boom. By the time that sixth game hit, though, my boy, you don't even care if y'all win no more at this point. You can prove your point. Look, I done beat y'all last 7 times now. If y'all beat me this time, y'all beat me, because after a while, you continue to play those games. You continue to, over the course of a series, over the course of continuous play, you're playing 40 minutes. Now, I use the court because I use the actual gym because ain't no substitutions when you running the court at free play, right? You play every single game. That's how the Knicks play. The Knicks starters playing 33 minutes a game, 34 minutes a game, 35 minutes a game. Right? You know what I mean? So they're going to be playing heavy minutes, and they actually are going to win some of those games. I don't think the Knicks are going to get swept. I do expect them to win some games, maybe 2, maybe 3. If they get game 1, then I could have a whole different take. You know what I mean on this series for the game 2 breakdown preview, right? But game 1, man, I am going with the Spurs. Y'all see, I put it down in the bottom. You see it strolling across the bottom. My bets and my plays, right? So I am going with the Spurs. I think the Spurs at that -4.5. I think that's Gucci. I think that'll work. Right, you could play that. The Spurs on the money line is my lock pick, right? That's just me telling you who gonna win the game. I do think the Spurs win this game, right? And also my player props, I got the under as well, right? They're under 218.5. I think it's a defensive game, right? The Spurs are coming out for grueling series. I don't think their offense is going to be clicking as smoothly as it was in that game 7. But when you're the Spurs, you play hella defense as well, right? So I think they're going to keep the Knicks scoring down. I don't think they're going to score a whole lot of points. And I think we probably get maybe like 107 to 93 type of game or something like that. Or maybe 100, like 103 to like 87 or something like that. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than it is a higher scoring game, given the facts, right? 2 good defensive teams, the Knicks and the Spurs. So for game 1 of this series, I am going under 218.5, right? So if you're struggling with picking a side, I do like the under in this as well. Player props, we got Jalen Brunson under 3 3-pointers, right? We got Landry Shamet to score 6 points. I just think, it's a low bar for him. He should be able to make that. He's probably going to make 2 3-pointers, right? If the Knicks going to have a chance, Shamet is going to have to make 6 points because he's one of their bench players that's going to be playing heavy minutes. He's been playing heavy minutes in the playoffs, right? So Shaman has been a big part of their success in the playoffs. Taking Shaman for 6 points, can't beat that with a stick. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Odds pretty good on that too as well. Miles Bridges, 12 points. Stephon Castle, 15, right? So Brunson under 3-pointers, but Brunson under 3 3-pointers. Bridges 12, Castle 15, Landry Shaman 6 points are my favorite props of the day, right? And of course, I like Wemby for 25. Wemby didn't get 25 in that closeout game, right, for us, because he didn't really need it, right, which kind of sucked for us, right? But he didn't really need the 25 in that closeout game, right? But I do like it. I'm not telling y'all to bet it, right? I'm gonna wait to see on the Wemby 25. But this is probably going to be the game where he comes out and he attempts and he tries to dominate, right? But I do like the Wemby 25, right? Jalen Brunson, 20 points, right? 25 points, of course. Cat is going to have to play well if they're going to have a chance. So if you like that Cat 12 to 15 points, I would say Cat should score 15 or more, right? I expect Cat holding Wemby is playing Wemby. Guarding Wemby is a thing in itself, right? But I don't expect Cat to lay down like Chet did. I don't expect Cat to lay down like Chet did, right? I expect him to have a little more pushback than that. But Wemby is still Wemby. But if the Knicks are going to do anything, y'all, we should be taking Cat to score 15 points every single game. Because if he don't, they go get their ass blasted. You know what I mean? So Cat is going to have to come and play. My guy Diaper Dandy said he like Wemby 12 rebounds. DP Rocker said Cat gonna have to take Wemby out of the paint. Yeah, DP, shout out my guy DP. We can talk some hoops. Y'all want to talk some hoops? Y'all want to talk some schematics? We can talk some hoops for sure. I was gonna get out of here at 30 minutes. If y'all want to talk some hoops, we can talk some hoops. We can talk some hoops a little bit. But DP, I say this, DP, my guy DP said Cat gonna have to take Wemby out the paint. Hey, DP, that's gonna be extremely hard, right? Because of course, right? If we know ball, hell yeah, we want to get Wemby big ass out the paint. But if I'm a coach, I'm not putting Wemby on Cat. Right, so Cat, you can stay out the paint all you want to. I'm about to put, you know what I mean, Justin Champagne on you, right? He's going to front you, he's going to hold you, push you out the paint, and I'm gonna put Wemby on that back defense behind him. So if you go try to take the little man to the hole, Wemby go come smack your shit, right? So I'm not gonna have Wemby on Cat if I'm the Spurs. At least I wouldn't, because if I'm finna take Cat to the 3-point line. Yeah, Cat, go step 3-point line, keep that tall ass nigga out the paint for us, right? But I wouldn't put, if I'm San Antonio, right, I wouldn't put Wemby on Cat. I want Wemby to have the easiest time in the world on defense. All I want Wemby to do on defense is run around and block motherfucker shot when they ain't paying attention, right? That's what I want him to do. I want somebody else to be on that ball, and I want Wemby coming over the top on the help side to get the block. right? But I necessarily wouldn't even put Wemby. I necessarily wouldn't even put Wemby on Cat, so he wouldn't even have that chance to take him out the paint. Like my brother told me a couple years ago, you should be a basketball coach. I said, hell nah. But the more I think about it, I probably fucking should. But anyway, I probably should. I probably should try. But anyway, but yeah, man. So I'm looking at I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of I want Wemby to have. I don't want Wemby exerting no energy on defense. I just want him in help side. I just want him in help side, right? Rim protecting, all that good stuff. I'm not gonna have him playing nobody one-on-one with no skills. I'm putting Wemby when Mitchell Robinson in the game. I'm putting Wemby on Mitchell Robinson on defense, and when he's not in the game, I'm putting him on probably Josh fucking Hart, right? So T, why would you put Wemby on Josh Hart? Because Josh Hart can't shoot fucking threes. So if you go sit back there and take a bunch of threes, Josh, go ahead and sit back there and take a bunch of threes. Josh Hart hurt you getting to the goal, being aggressive, right, on offense. I'm making Josh Hart beat me. If I'm the Spurs, I'm making Josh Hart be the guy to have to do it offensively, right? Because even if Josh Hart can do it offensively for a game, if he can do it for a half, if he can do it for a quarter, I don't think Josh Hart can beat me 4 games. I don't think Josh Hart can beat me for a series. I'm taking the other team out the series. I'm putting Wemby on Josh Hart and telling him, if this little motherfucker is in the corner, let him shoot it. Protect the goal. If Josh Hart make 13 3-pointers like Caruso did, cool. But Caruso couldn't make 13 3-pointers 4 games in a row. He couldn't make it every game. So I'm just going to take the same Caruso plan, right, and apply it to Josh Hart. And if Josh Hart beat me shooting threes, then I deserve to fucking lose. Fire me as a coach, right? Fire me as a coach. If Josh Hart beat me shooting threes, I deserve to fucking lose. But that's going to be my game plan. Because I'm not going to put him on OG Anunoby because OG Anunoby can actually shoot the three. He can get to the goal. He's athletic. He can make Wemby work a little bit. Right? Miles Bridges, I think, he's just like, he can shoot the three, right? He can get to the goal, right? I'm just not going to do that. But Josh Hart, defensively, he's a great player. Offensively, he's very, very limited. I'm making Josh Hart beat me. I'm making Josh Hart beat me on offense. I'm making Josh Hart beat me on offense if I'm the San Antonio Spurs. Right? He said, so basically Josh Hart is streaky. He's not an offensive player, right? I wouldn't even say that he's streaky, right? He's not really the offensive guy, right? He's not the offensive guy that I'm afraid of on the Knicks, right? Of all the offensive guys on the Knicks, Josh Hart is the least guy that I'm afraid of. I'm scared of Brunson. I'm scared of Bridges. I'm scared of OG Anunoby. I'm scared of Brunson, Bridges, OG Anunoby. I'm scared of Cat, right? Offensively. But Josh Hart, oh no, bring it on. If he go beat me, I deserve to lose. If he go beat me, the Knicks deserve to win the championship, right? But that's how I will play it if I was the Spurs, DP Rocker. He said, and Cat can get Wemby in foul trouble if he's smart. Yeah, if Wemby is holding Cat, right? If Wemby is on Cat, Cat does have the chance to get in foul trouble. But actually, I think more so, DP, that'll actually work better for Wemby than it will for Cat. Because Cat is actually probably going to be forced to have to hold Wemby on him, right? You know what I mean? Southern T, what you mean? Mitchell Robinson. If Mitchell Robinson is hurt, bro, your primary defender on Wemby is probably going to be Cat. He's the only 7-footer you got outside of Mitch, and Mitch ain't 7 foot. Mitch strong as an ox though, right? Mitch is 6'10", right? He's strong as an ox though. He's a defender. Then you got the only other 7-footer you got is Cat. The only other big you really got is Cat. You're not putting OG Anunoby on him. He's a great defender. He's too small. He's 6'7". You know what I mean? He may with the way that depth chart is looking, and if Mitch Robinson not playing, OG might have to hold fucking Wemby. You know what I mean? But if I'm the Spurs, right? No OG, no Mitchell Robinson. Even with Mitchell Robinson, anytime Cat is holding Wemby, I'm going right at Cat if I'm Wemby. All right, but yeah, Wemby could get Wemby in foul trouble if you're going to be putting Wemby on Cat. But I personally wouldn't do that. I personally wouldn't do it. I personally would do it. I think it's smarter to have Wemby on defense, let him rim protect, and let them dogs, Stephon Castle, let them dogs guard, right? Let Castle guard, let Fox guard. We all know Fox always had defense, right? Let Castle guard, let Fox guard, let Vassell guard, let Champagne guard, right? Those guys have been busting ass defensively. When I say busting ass, I'm talking about defensively right now, not offense. They've been busting ass on offense too. But defensively, Council is putting shit in the trunk, right? That's going to be holding Jalen Brunson. I think the matchups, right? They match up well with the New York Knicks. The Knicks match up right back, but they match up well with the New York Knicks. You got Fox, who might be the fastest person in the league, right? You got De'Aaron Fox, and then what's the other guy named? John Morant. You got John Morant, you got Fox, and there's one more. It's one more. I will say Russ, but Russ a little older. Russ still might be one of the fastest in the league, right? But it's one more though. Y'all know who the fuck I'm talking about, bro. Y'all know who I'm talking about, bro. You got Fox, you got Ja, and what's the other guy though? But his name gonna come to me. But Fox is probably the fastest person in the league. You get what I'm saying? So you got Fox, who's a dog defensively. You got Stephon Castle, who's really like a big shooting guard. He like a big two. He like a two playing the one. He's shooting guard size. Nigga about 210 pounds, 6'5", with point guard skills. Ja Morant hops. And you get what I'm saying? Like, they're scary, especially on defense. He's bigger than Ja Morant. He's Ja Morant supersized. Like, he's Ja Morant if Ja Morant was 6'5", 215, 210 pounds. You know what I mean? He's that athletic. He's as athletic as Ja Morant, as fast, quick as Ja Morant. We definitely could throw Castle in there for something to fast guard too. Just as fast, athletic as Ja Morant, except he has 25 extra pounds and 2 more inches. You know what I mean? So he's going to be holding Jalen Brunson. You're going to have De'Aaron Fox holding Jalen Brunson. So you're going to have some pretty good options to hold Jalen Brunson. The Knicks been cooking. The Knicks been doing their thing because Jalen Brunson and Cat been getting off. The last series, it was Brunson. The series before the first two series before the last one, it was Cat, right? Cat is not going to have those advantages like he had in the first two series, right? Jalen Brunson is probably not going to have an advantage like he had that last series because the last series you got what? Who you have? You got Cade on it. Once you pick off Cade, once you get Cade out for Brunson, Cade can defend his ass off, right? Cool. But they just picking Cade out Brunson. I we go give Cade out Brunson, and we go put this nigga who we know can't fuck with Brunson on him. Not and I don't want to do him like this, but my boy Tobias Harris from Tennessee, too. Shout out my boy Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris can't fucking hold Jalen Brunson on the pick and roll. You know what I mean? You saw what he just did to James Harden, right? James Harden can't hold Jalen Brunson on the pick and roll. But guess who can though? Guess who has a better shot than those two guys? De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. Your best bet is to try to cook who? Devin Vassell? And you telling me, you just finna cook this 6'5", 6'6" guard? Like, you get what I mean? Like, it's gonna be a lot hard. Like, these are big guards. These are big guards. Fox is the smallest guard, and he may have the best defense out of all of them, right? So the smallest guard, who is your size, he faster than you. He probably got the best defense of the guards anyway. So he's not alive. He's not gonna be able to. Is Brunson gonna be taking advantage of De'Aaron Fox every single time down the court? No. He may win some of those battles. That dude is not finna drop 30 fucking 40 points on De'Aaron Fox. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my New York people. He's not consistently. Not consistently anyway. He's not about to drop 30 and 40 on fucking De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle though consistently like that. Sorry to tell you. Hold on, y'all. Hold on real quick. Hello. All right, my bad. All right, I'm back now, y'all. My bad, my bad. They made it to the 40-minute bar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's finish. Let's finish this. All right, my bad, y'all. But y'all, I'm back now. But yeah, man, he's not like in Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson, right? But I like my chances. I like my chances most definitely better than the last series, right? The Spurs actually have the defenders to slow down Brunson. If you could slow down Brunson's attack, like Danny said, Cade gassed out, help needed for Cade in Detroit. Wemby has an elite team around him. Yeah, fact. Spurs are fucking loaded. He's at T. I think Dylan Harper is the X factor. He said Hart wants Brunson to win. My mind says Spurs. Kind of David versus Goliath story. Wemby versus Brunson. Yeah, facts though, brother. This is David Goliath, ain't it? Brunson being the figurehead, Wemby being the figurehead. Goddamn, I like that, bro. I like that. This David. Yeah, that's how we need to sell it. That's how we need to sell this. That's how they should sell it. The NBA should sell it. But maybe they can't get biblical with it, right? That's probably the problem. They can't get biblical. But we fucking can, right? David and Goliath, I like that. Everybody use that term, though. You can use that term. I think that's a pretty broad term. That ain't too biblical, right? Because people use it all the time. I like that. David and Goliath. This is exactly what this is, bro. David and Goliath. This is exactly what this is. But yeah, hold on. Somebody made a good point. DP said, I think Dylan Harper is the X factor. Hey, bro, the Spurs bench. That's kind of what I said, DP. Right? The Spurs bench is going to be the difference in this. I think the benches. The Knicks starting five can compete with anybody in the league. The Knicks starting five can compete with everybody in the league, right? But they're light in the big man and they're light on the bench. And they're extremely light with big man on the bench. Y'all saw what I did there. So it's go rear their ugly head. That's exactly what I said. Harper being a part of the Spurs bench mob, Johnson, Cornette, right, being a part of the bench mob. The Spurs go like 8-9 deep versus the Knicks 6 or 7 deep, just depending on the day. Right? You get what I mean? So I do think Dylan Harper is going to play a big factor in this series, right? I think that McBride and Shamet will be able to kind of steady the ship though. But when you got the sixth man of the year, and then you got Dylan Harper who's playing like the sixth man of the year, right? You got the real sixth man of the year in Keldon Johnson, and then you got Dylan Harper who's playing like he should have been the sixth man of the year, right? So basically, you got 7 fucking stars on your team if you the Spurs. Really think about this, y'all, for a second. The Spurs have 7 starters, bro. Because Dylan Harper is a starter. I'm sorry to tell you. He's a starter. As a rookie, he's a starter, right? So you got Harper and you got Keldon Johnson, who's sixth man of the year. We all know this. Every fucking sixth man of the year is a starter. They just decided to bring him off the bench because they probably want to let him get off on his own. You know what I mean? That was my specialty. I was a sixth man. But you know why I was a sixth man? Not because I couldn't start, but because the coach knew I got to put the ball in his hand. He can actually do some shit. But if I'm playing with the starters, I'm not going to be as aggressive because I'm not a selfish nigga regardless. If I got one person on my team who can bust ass, hey, but you can bust all the ass you want to. And you get that motherfucker to me when you need it. But he knew my mentality. Oh, if I bring him off the bench, I can unlock him. He'll be a better player off the bench. And it worked. I was because when I come off the bench, I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm finna drop 30 because I ain't no scores on the floor with me. You get what I'm saying? But if I'm playing with the starters, we getting there. I'm more of a point guard with the star. I'm getting people involved and shit like that. But most 6 men in the NBA could be a starter. Damn near every 6-man winner can be a starter in the NBA. And most 6 men in the NBA are actually the starters on a different team. You get what I'm saying? And the Spurs got 2 of them. I said all that to say the Spurs have 2 of them. They got 2 dudes coming off the bench who could start. Keldon Johnson could start for any team in the NBA not named San Antonio Spurs. He actually started for the Spurs last series in the playoffs. So let that sink in for a second. He did actually start the last series. But I digress. Right? And then you got Dylan Harper. Any team would love to have Dylan Harper right now. You know what I mean? He said if Mitchell is injured, Diaper Dandy said if Mitchell is injured, hold on. If Mitchell is injured, it's a huge advantage for the Spurs, like you said, T. Bro, Diaper Dandy, Mad Chad, my Boston brother. If Mitchell Robinson is hurt, this shit is over with, Jack. If Mitchell Robinson is hurt, dog, this shit is over with, Jack. I'm tempted, y'all. I know y'all heard, bro. I honestly, I thought the Spurs would be bigger favorites, right? I'm like, bro, the getting the Spurs at like -1 anything kind of feel like a steal, right? But I kind of I'm not gonna count the Knicks out, right? I'm not gonna count the Knicks out, right? Because it's basketball, bro. Anything can happen. Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson. I get it, but if you asking me personally, okay, I was worried could the Spurs beat OKC? I was worried could the Spurs beat um what was the team before they got to OKC? Help me out, y'all. They played Portland, OKC. Who was their fucking second team? Portland, OKC. Who was their fucking second team? Let's see real quick. But I was a little worried about them. I was a little worried about them. Mojel was worried about them with OKC. Wasn't really too much worried about them with Portland. Right. But the Spurs have played some good teams, right, to get to this point, right? Is what I'm getting at. Let me go back and see real quick who they played in that second round. Y'all help me out. Y'all help me out. Who did the Spurs play second round? It was Portland. I'm drawing a blank, and then it was OKC. Who the fuck was that in that second round that they played? Y'all help me out. Anybody know? I'm asking y'all to help me out. I ain't even looking at the chat. So y'all possibly are helping me out. And I ain't even looking at the chat. But I'm finna go to it. We finna see. We finna see. Let me see. Chat, no, y'all know. Said lemon pie indica got me stupid. Brain fart here. Y'all got a brain fart too, Diaper Dandy. I got a brain fart too. Let's see. Let's go to May real quick, y'all. Timberwolves. Timberwolves, right? Timberwolves, right? So I was a little worried about them with the T-Wolves. I was a little worried about them with OKC. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. With the Knicks, with the am I tripping, y'all? Or does it feel like let's talk basketball, let's talk some ball, let's talk some ball. I got my brother in the front. I go ask my brother this right now. He been around for a minute too. Yeah. Don't when we ain't it's like when you expect the New York Knicks to do it, when everybody is with the Knicks, when everybody like, hell yeah, man, the Knicks look good, but the Knicks, what happened? What usually happens when we all believe in the Knicks? They blow that mother. It's kind of like the Cowboys. Knicks fans ain't gonna like that. Kind of like the Cowboys, though, right? Right? When you expect them to do well, when you expect them to answer the ball, to answer the call, when you expect them not to drop the ball, it's like they wait to the biggest moments to drop the ball, right? I almost kind of feel like, are we building this? I got the Spurs to win the series, right? But are we building fake confidence in the Knicks just for them to let us down? They gonna burn fucking New York City down, bro. The Knicks lose. If the Knicks get swept, boy, they gonna burn New York City fucking down, right? They burning New York fucking down coming off the sweep. You know what I mean? But it kind of feels like, and I don't want people to get too far ahead either, right? Because again, the Knicks are not the favorite in this series, man. The odds are actually saying the odds think the Knicks have more of a chance than I do. If I'm being real with y'all, the Vegas, the betting books saying that the Knicks have more of a chance than I do. The betting books feel like the Knicks have more chance than I do. They believe in the Knicks more than I do right now, right? I'm not saying that the Knicks are trash. I'm not saying that they go get swept. But what I'm saying is this Spurs team looking real dangerous right now. Like this feel like a championship team. They just literally beat a championship team, right? It feels like a championship team. It looks like a championship team. The NBA is pushing Wembanyama. But I will tell you this: if the NBA was ever going to pull, if the NBA was ever going to pull a move, right, they were ever going to be like, okay, upset, it would be the New York Knicks winning the championship. Because what's a bigger story than the New York Knicks winning the championship, y'all? There isn't one. There isn't one. Let me tell you something. Maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't know. Who did the Knicks beat for their last championship 30 years ago? Who did the Knicks beat for their championship 30 years ago? 31 years ago. Right? I was a motherfucking baby. I wasn't even in preschool when the last time these niggas won. You know what I mean? Who did they beat? I'll tell you because I'm tired of waiting. I ain't look at the chat to see if y'all answer. But they beat the Spurs though, right? They beat the Spurs. So you got Knicks versus Spurs again, 30 years back. Are the Spurs about to get their get back, or are Knicks about to win the championship? Except this time, the Spurs are the favorite and the Knicks are the underdog. You know what I mean? So the storyline is there. What's a bigger story than the Knicks winning the championship? There isn't one, y'all. When I say that, I mean in any sport. Honestly, there isn't. Not even the Cowboys, right? Any sport. Not even the Dodgers, not the Yankees, nothing. The Knicks basketball championship is literally the biggest sports story that you could write. I'm trying to think of another one. What would be another one? There isn't one. Lakers win all the time. Uh, Cowboys. Cowboys will probably be up there. That probably will be the one. That will be up there, right? That will be up there on the list. Knicks championship, Cowboys championship, right? You got the Knicks playing the Spurs, who they beat for their first ring. So all the history, the storyline is there, right? So if Wemby was ever going to not pull it off, it will be to the Knicks because the Knicks has the storyline to push the media market for the NBA, right? But the NBA are pushing the shit out of foreign players right now, overseas players, right? Shea, Wemby, Giannis, uh, 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 Shea, Wemby, Giannis, Joker. I don't know how to forget Joker, right? Shea, Wemby, Giannis, Joker. So they pushing the shit out the foreign players, right? So it kind of, I feel like, they kind of want the Spurs to win. But if it was ever going to be a wrench thrown in the game, New York winning the championship most definitely would be the wrench thrown in the game, right? But I think it's an uphill battle, right? I think it's an uphill battle, for New York to get the win in game one. And I think it's an uphill battle for them to get the win in the series as a whole, man. But I'm not trying to crush any of my Knicks, my Knicks guys, spirit or anything like that. Cause I got a lot of New York. I got a lot of East Coast. My name's Southern T y'all, but I got a huge East Coast following. My East Coast following might be as big as my Southern following on some real shit. You know what I mean? So I got a lot of New York. I got a lot of New York fans. Not fans, I'm calling y'all fans. Y'all ain't no fucking fans. I got a lot of New York supporters, right? You know what I mean? So this ain't me trying to shit on y'all. This ain't me trying to shit on y'all. You know what I mean? And nothing like that. But that nigga 7'4", dog. He's 7'4". So in the paper say 7'4", but I see everybody else calling him 7'6". So I'm gonna let y'all do with that as y'all make. The NBA player say 7'6". The paper say 7'4". Right. He said, and the fight is in Madison Square Garden on the 27th. What fight? Tim Duncan is from the Virgin Islands. Yeah, for sure. Tim Duncan from the Virgin Islands. He's American. The Virgin Islands is America, though. If y'all didn't know. Oh, it's American. What's the word I'm looking for? It's USA territory, right? You know what it's called? It's almost the USA basically own them, if that, for lack of a better phrase, right? They own the Virgin Islands. Type shit, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, that's considered American. Like if you're born in the Virgin Islands, you can still be considered an American. I don't know if y'all knew that. But yeah, I digress. But man, anything else? We gonna stay here 5 more minutes, man. If y'all, we been here for. I'll probably be here 30 minutes. Actually, in my mind, I was gonna do 15 minutes once I got to talking and shit. Y'all know how that go. We been here for an hour, man. Y'all got anything else y'all want? Again, my plays right. I got the Spurs winning tomorrow, game one. I like Shamit 6 points, Castle 15. I like Miles. I like Mikael Bridges 12, Jalen Brunson under 3 3-pointers. I like the Spurs minus 4.5. So I like the Spurs to win and cover the spread. I like the under 218.5. I like Castle 15, Bridges 12, Shamit 6, right? And just throw ins, Wimby 25, Brunson 25, Cat 15. Those are my throw ins, right? But take Shamit to the house, take Brunson 3 pointers to the house, under 3 pointers to the house, right? Take Castle 15 to the house, man. I think you can't beat that with a stick as far as player props. Anybody got anything else y'all want to run across me before we get up out of here? DP Rocker said boots, Xander on the 27. Yeah, for sure. Yep. For sure. Anything y'all want to run by me, man, before we get up out of here? Anything else y'all want to ask? Right? DP Rocker. DP Rocker said Knicks and 6, man. DP Rocker said Knicks and 6, man. DP Rocker said Knicks and 6. That'd be crazy if the Knicks win the ship, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. The only people, right? I kind of feel like the bad guy right now, y'all. Y'all know why? Let me drop this thing real quick because y'all might want to come hang. Y'all want to talk. Y'all might want to drop y'all in point or something like that. I almost feel bad right now, y'all, because I feel like the only person on YouTube that's not pulling for the Knicks right now, right? And I don't even know. I don't even know when. I don't even know when. Oh, actually, it's not Wemby that I like. It's actually Stephon Castle. That's really what it is. That's what it is. I bet you I don't really know when the Spurs grew on me, but it's Stephon Castle grew on me, right? And then and that just kind of how it went. I remember Stephon Castle, bro, last year, bro, or year before last. Whatever Stephon Castle last year in college was, he won the championship his first and last year, right? But y'all remember UConn played the Memphis Tigers, bro, in the Bahamas in that Bahamas tournament. Y'all remember that shit? That's where Stephon Castle. That's the first time I was introduced to Castle. And then I saw it because he was beating our ass. We won the game in overtime, but that little Castle dude was beating our motherfucking ass. And then once he got to the league and I saw him over there in San Antonio, and I was like, who the fuck is this Castle nigga? And then I went to, I was like, UConn. I was like, oh, that's that nigga. And since then, I've been fucking with Castle, right? But it's Castle. I want Castle to get the ring more so than Wemby. And Wemby just kind of, get the ring by default. But I fuck with Castle, man. I fuck with Castle demeanor. I fuck with his swag on the court. He always look angry. He always look angry until he see his teammates, and then he be smiling. But it's like he shake his teammates' hands, and then the smile just go like, I fuck with him. I fuck with Castle. I want Castle to get a ring. Castle, I like the way Castle play, bro. I like he like a physical finesse guard. He's like a physical. I like big guards. I like big guards. All my favorite players, big guards, bro. Penny Hardaway, Tracy McGrady, LeBron. If you really think about the shit, LeBron, right? James Harden and shit. Castle. I don't know. It's somebody pointed that out to me the other day. All my favorite Gilbert Arenas, right? All big guards. I like big guards, but Castle a dog, man. So it's more so the Castle thing than it is the Wemby thing. Although they go sell it as the Wemby thing, overseas players taking over, yada 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 yada. Bro, Castle, De'Aaron Fox, them the dudes that's stirring that tea right now. Wemby is the best player. He's the star player. But y'all just saw that last game 7. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say they didn't even need Wemby, because that'd be a fucking lie. Because if you take away Wemby points, they would have lost. But what I'm saying is Wemby didn't even lead that game, right? He didn't lead the Spurs that game. Guess who actually led the Spurs that game? Justin Champagne. Goddamn. Now this played up. But it was like few niggas that scored 20 points. It was like four people that had 20 points, right? Champagne did have like 4 or 5 3 points though. He stepped up big, right? But that team, that team is dangerous, bro, because Wemby almost makes them unbeatable, right? But even if you take Wemby out the equation, that team is still a playoff team, right? Maybe they're not the number 2 seed without Wemby, but they at least a play-in team, right? You know what I mean? Defensively is where Wemby can't be denied, right? But on offense, at times, they don't even be using dude on offense at times. You know what I mean? So I said all that to say is that that's a deep team, bro. That's a deep team. And for the Knicks to only play, 6 guys, it's gonna be an uphill battle for them. It's going to be an uphill battle for New York, man. So I don't want my New York fan base, right? I don't want my New Yorkers, right? I don't want my New Yorkers to feel no way, my East Coast guys to feel no way. Because I ain't shitting on the Knicks. Y'all just going up against a nigga 7-6. I'm gonna say that again slow. I ain't shitting on the Knicks, but y'all just happen to be going up against a nigga 7-6. You know what I mean? If the Knicks win this championship, bro, this would be the best championship ever. Right? This would be the best championship ever because of who you did it against. And now Wemby, I ain't saying Wemby the best player in the league, right? But just dynamics. Like, depending on how you ask a question, there could be different answers to the question, right? If you ask me, who's the best player in the league, you will get a different answer from if you ask me who's the most dominant player in the league. You get what I'm saying? Two different things. Two different things, right? Wemby, I've been saying the most dominant player in the league is Giannis, and actually, it still is Giannis because Wemby is young and he's still kind of learning to be a dog, right? He's still kind of learning. Oh, I'm 7'6", bitch. I can just dunk over you, right? Oh, I'm just gonna run to the goal, put this motherfucker in the goal. Cause you can't stop. He's learning it. Giannis was trying to do that when he was 105 pounds. He just was 105 pounds, so he couldn't do it. Right? So he couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Most dominant player in the league is Giannis, but a close second right now is Wemby. Right? So I ain't gonna say that he's the most dominant player in the league yet, because I do think it's Giannis because Giannis is a grown man, and Giannis know he a grown man, and Giannis know you can't stop him. Giannis, you know Giannis not gonna shoot no threes, and you still can't stop Giannis. You get what I'm saying? That's what I mean. He's like you just can't. There's nothing you can do. Giannis, I say this all the time, right? Giannis is what Shaq would look like if he stayed in shape. If he stayed in Orlando Magic shape, Giannis is Shaq. Because you're not stopping, dude. He go dunk you through the rim. He bigger than you. He's stronger than you. He's faster than you. Right? I'm talking about Orlando Shaq. Yeah, I remember Orlando Shaq. That Shaq. He's faster than you. Bigger than you. Jump higher than you, sending your shit to the moon, and he go talk shit to you. You know what I mean? So he's the most dominant player in the league, bro. Once Wemby, by the time Wemby hit, Giannis say, by the time Wemby hit 25, 26, because that nigga like, what, 22 years old? Damn. That man 22 years old, dog. Once they do hit like 25, 26, 27, once his nuts drop, for real, once his nuts really drop, it's over with, bro. It's over with. His nuts ain't even dropped yet. Once his nuts drop, yeah, he most definitely gonna be the most dominant player. Right now, it's still Giannis, right? Because Giannis is a grown man. But Wemby's a close second. Wemby's for most dominant. He's a close second. And defensively, it is Giannis. The most dominant defensive player is Giannis. I mean, is Wemby, but Giannis is more dominant on offense, and he's not quite as dominant on defense, but he's in the area on defense, right? If Giannis was 7'6" with his mentality, he'd be even better. Right now he's better than Wemby, right? But what I'm saying, if Giannis was 7'6", bro, I wouldn't even watch basketball because there ain't no point. It won't be no point. You know what I'm saying? It won't be no. Imagine Giannis being 7'6" and not shooting 3-pointers. Imagine if Wemby gained like 20 pounds, right, and just said, "Fuck 3-pointers. I'm just gonna go." You're not stopping him. You're not stopping him. Nobody's stopping. Your best bet is to try to push Wemby out the paint before he gets the ball because he's small. And once that dude pick a weight like Giannis did, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You can wrap that shit up. And if we let him start winning rings now, oh my God. Oh my God. And we tend to say this about a lot of people. We tend to say it's a lot. Oh, that's a dynasty. That's a dynasty. Look at the last few teams that we said were a dynasty. Another team always came, jumped in, and cut their plan short. The next year, Boston Celtics, who cut their plan short? Thunder. We said the Thunder, the new dynasty. And who just cut their plan short? Wemby. Who is going to cut the Spurs plan short? Right? I hope it's going to be for OKC to continue to do what they do. For Ant-Man to maybe get that one other player, maybe that Ant-Man to get that right mix, right? We need Ant-Man to get that one person with him, right? But what I'm saying is, y'all, it's few far between of a team that's actually going to be able to stop these fucking San Antonio Spurs. You got OKC. It's going to be Spurs, OKC coming out the West for years on years on years, y'all. That's basically what I'm getting at right now. The dynasty, it's going to be a few dynasties in the league all at the same time. Spurs, OKC, Boston Celtics. If Boston can keep Tatum and Brown, because, you know, we starting to hear a lot about what may or may not happen with them, right? So if that team can stay together, right, a lot of people probably already gave up on that dynasty, right? But I digress, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer, man. I appreciate y'all. Unless y'all, what's good, Adam Hurley? So who's going to guard Wemby? Adam, my guy Adam. What's good, Adam? What's good, Adam? He said, who's going to guard? That's exactly my thoughts, Adam. That's exactly my thoughts. Adam, let me put that on the screen, man. That's exactly my thoughts, right? Especially if no Mitchell Robinson, right? Because where my guy Adam? Are you still in there, Adam? To answer your question, Adam. Mitchell Robinson would be the one that's holding Wemby, right? But it's also not a sure thing, right, that Mitchell Robinson is even going to play. Right? It's also not even a sure thing that Mitchell Robinson's either going to play because he did come up on the injury. He did come up on the injury report, right? So if Mitchell Robinson plays, then Mitchell Robinson is probably going to be the guy, right? But you would need Mitchell Robinson for sure. If Mitchell Robinson don't play, Adam Hurley, let me rent you up. Let me rent you up too while you're here, because people be blocking. I think I got a mole or something on my page too. Where I got a mole on my page. They just be randomly blocking people for whatever reason. Right? They just be randomly blocking people for whatever reason. So let me go and rent you up, Adam. If they ain't already blocked you. Right? If they ain't already blocked you, right? But that's the question of the series, because if Mitchell Robinson don't play, like I said earlier, man, if Mitchell Robinson don't play, it's a sweep, you know what I mean, for the Spurs, for real. Mitchell Robinson matters that much defensively to the New York Knicks. The Knicks have almost no big men. Yeah, the Knicks have almost no big men. Mitchell Robinson and Cat, right, are their two big men. If you lose one of those guys, you literally have no answer for Wemby. I think that's going to be the biggest. That's going to be the biggest thing right there, Adam. That's the biggest thing, bro. Who's going to hold Wemby? And the big man depth is bench. It's going to be the two biggest questions I have for the Knicks, right? The bench depth and who's going to hold Wemby. Actually, it could be three. Bench depth, who's going to hold Wemby, and the big man problem. And you could actually put all three of those together, right? The bench depth for the big man, the bench depth for the big man on top of who holding Wimby because they got enough guards. They got enough guards and wingmen, swingmen. They're lacking bigs coming off the bench. Because after Cat sits down, you bring in Mitchell Robinson. But after Mitchell Robinson, there's pretty much nothing. And if Mitchell Robinson isn't going to be healthy, then you almost have no shot. He said, isn't Cat like 16? Cat 7 foot. Cat is 7 foot tall. Cat is 7 foot tall. But even that's only one 7 footer, right? Cat is 7 foot tall though. He's 7 foot. He's 7 foot. Chet was 7'2" and could do nothing with him, right? But I think Cat is a little more physical than Chet, right? He weighs more for sure. I think he's more of a physical player when he wants to be, although he get a bad reputation, right? But Cat is 7 foot. Cat was 16 like as a freshman in college. Cat was like 16 in high school, right? He was like 16 in high school. Anthony Davis is 16, right? Anthony Davis 16. Cat like 7 foot. Cat like 7 foot. But even him being, if you got two, right? If you got Cat is gonna lose a little bit on offense. Cat gonna lose a little bit on the offense, right? Because he's going to be forced to hold Wimby, right? But with no backup for Cat, with nobody being able to hold Wimby race, that's what I'm saying. Like I thought that the Knicks would be a bigger underdog, right? I thought that the Spurs would be a bigger favorite, all things considered. But maybe the fact that Mitchell Robinson might play, because at first he was red and now he's yellow, right? So the fact that he might play makes a difference, right? But even then, man, like even with Mitchell, it's gonna be an uphill battle. You know what I mean? He said, I like the Knicks starting unit. Yeah, Adam. Yep, facts, Adam. Yeah, facts. I think like I said this a little earlier too, right? Uh top top five, the top five, the starters, they match up well. This it's a golden matchup. It's a matchup for the ages, right? The top five. Brunson, Fox, Hart, Castle, Vassell, Bridges, OG, OG, Champagne, Cat, Wemby. When you do the starting five, they match up well. But this once you get to the bench, things get a little different. You got you got Shamit. Clarkson ain't been playing much, right? But you got Clarkson. But then you got Harper over here. You got Keldon Johnson over here, right? You got Luke Cornett coming off the bench. You got Harrison Barnes, you know what I mean, coming off the bench. The Knicks only play about 6 to 7 players versus the Spurs 8 to 9 players. The Knicks stars gonna be playing a lot of heavy minutes, right? So it ain't gonna affect you as much game 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get deeper into the series, which is what I think is going to have to happen, it's going to be a deep series. It's going to eventually affect you, which is why the rest for the Knicks beforehand was a great thing because they starters play a lot of minutes. So they're going to work their kinks out fast, I think, right? But over the course of a long series, they could get themselves, their bench depth, I think, is going to catch up with them as far as the longevity of the series, not necessarily game one, right? Nick's best shot to steal a game at the Spurs house is going to be game one. But I do think the Knicks match up great as far as I do think the Knicks match up great, right? As far as position for position with that starting five. But yeah, the Knicks starting unit most definitely can compete, I think. But once you get into that bench, I think that's when it get different here, different there, right? Uh, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I got Spurs for the win, right? I think Spurs win the first game. I like the Spurs with the 4.5. Uh, I like the under 2 weights. My best prop, Bronson under the 3 3 pointers. right? Then Shamit for 6 points, like the value on that. And then Castle 15 is kind of a throw in. You can go Castle 15, right? Bridge is 12, another throw in, right? Those kind of just, throw ins, give y'all something to play with, you know. But I also like Wimby 25, like Brunson 25, as well, just to throw some out there for y'all, right? But man, that's all I got for y'all, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all here too much longer. I was supposed to be here 10 minutes. I was here an hour and 30, hour and 15, right? It be like that sometimes. Got to talking hoops, got excited. Appreciate y'all folks sliding through this though, man. Skin away. I said skin away. Skin the hard way, southern teeth. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Look, salute.